Okay, so we're going to talk about something we see every single moment of every day, but probably don't think about nearly enough. Color. And more specifically, the pretty wild science of how different hues can actually change our mood, our physical bodies, and even the choices we make.
So let's just dive right in. To really get the power of color, we're not going to start with some science chart. We're going to start in a hospital. Picture this. You're a little kid, you're already scared, and you walk into this sterile, super white room. That color, or really the lack of it, is a huge part of what makes that whole experience so scary. But what happens when the stakes get even higher? Well, in one particular dementia ward, the staff was dealing with a really tough, sensitive problem. The patients, who were already struggling with confusion, were having frequent accidents. It was incredibly distressing for the patients and, of course, a huge challenge for the caregivers.
And the cause was something no one had really thought about. It was the design of the room itself. See, the ward was painted that clean, clinical white. The toilets were white, but so were the low, boxy radiator covers. And for a mind that's having trouble processing the world, these two white objects looked pretty much the same.
Now, the solution wasn't some new technology or complicated training, it was a can of paint. That's it. By painting the radiator covers the same pastel blue as the walls, they just disappeared. They blended right into the background, leaving the white toilet as the only clear, obvious choice. And the distressing incidents? They stopped, just like that. And this really gets us to the heart of the matter. This wasn't just about making a room look nicer. This was about function, about dignity, about behavior. So how on earth can something as simple as changing a color have such a huge impact on how we act?
So, to answer that, we've actually got to look past our eyes for a second and focus on what's going on upstairs, inside our brains.
This is the whole field of color psychology. And, it's not about these fuzzy ideas like red is an angry color. No, it's the actual scientific study of how light energy, which our brain interprets as color, affects everything from our mood to the decisions we make.
So let's look at the hardware inside our eyes. We've basically got two types of light-detecting cells. You've got about 120 million rods. These guys are the champs of seeing in black and white and telling how bright or dark it is. They're why you can stumble to the bathroom at night. But to see color? For that, we rely on a much smaller crew of about 6 to 7 million cones, and they need a lot of light to get their job done.
And this right here leads to a totally mind-bending fact. Color isn't actually real, at least not out there in the world. A banana isn't yellow. It's just reflecting a certain wavelength of energy. Your cones pick up that signal, shoot it to your brain, and your brain creates the experience we all call yellow. Color literally only exists inside your head.
This just goes to show how much we make up our own rules about color. I mean, we're all taught there are 7 colors in the rainbow, right? But that's just a cultural thing. The light spectrum is a smooth, continuous flow of energy. Where we decide blue stops and green starts, that's just a line we draw with our language. In fact, some cultures don't even have separate words for blue and green. To them, they're just different shades of the same thing.
And get this brain-made experience isn't just psychological, it's physical. Studies have shown that warm colors, like reds and yellows, can actually cause a measurable spike in our heart rate and blood pressure. Maybe it's an old evolutionary thing, right? Red means ripe fruit or danger. And on the flip side, cool colors like blues and greens can do the exact opposite. They can actually produce a calming effect on our whole nervous system.
Okay, so if colors can trigger our brains and our bodies, how does that translate into what we feel? Let's break down the emotional toolkit that designers and psychologists are working with, color by color.
All right, let's start with yellow. Just from a pure physics standpoint, yellow is thought to be the most noticeable color to the human eye. It's the first one that grabs our attention.
So in a place like a classroom, that attention-grabbing power is awesome. It can help boost memory, get people talking. It just feels optimistic and full of energy. But, and this is a big but, there's a catch. Because it reflects so much light, too much yellow is just exhausting. It can literally wear out your eyes and feel way too stimulating.
Now let's swing to the complete other end of the spectrum, blue. Where yellow is all about activation, blue is usually seen as the color of calm.
And here's where you see the dual personality of color. In a school setting, blue can lower stress and really open up creativity, which is great for complex thinking. But if you're not careful, that exact same calming quality can slide into feelings of sadness or make a space feel cold and distant.
And then you've got green.
If yellow is pure energy and blue is deep calm, then green is pretty much the color of balance.
This one makes a lot of sense, right? It's so deeply tied to nature, and it has this powerful restorative effect on us. It can help fight off fatigue, sharpen our focus, and create a real sense of security. It's really no wonder it's used so often in spaces that are designed to be both calming and productive.
So let's check out how all these psychological ideas are actually put into practice. We've seen it in hospitals and schools, but this kind of intentional color design is happening all around us, usually in ways we don't even realize.
Let's take green again. In a classroom, like we just saw, it's all about creating a calm, focused vibe. But in an operating room, it serves a very specific technical job. Surgeons spend hours staring at the deep red of, well, green is the direct opposite of red on the color wheel, so it neutralizes that intense red afterimage that gets burned into their vision. It's like a reset button for their eyes, helping reduce strain. So, same color, but two different applications aiming for a similar goal: focus under pressure.
And this is not just about paint on a wall. Every single time you look at your phone or computer, designers are using color psychology on you. They build a visual hierarchy. They use bright, high-contrast colors for that Buy Now button they want you to click, and way more muted colors for the stuff they'd rather you ignore. It's a deliberate game of controlling your attention. So, we've seen color bring dignity back in a hospital, help students focus, and guide our clicks on a screen. When you boil all this down, what is the single most important thing to remember? It all comes down to this, and this is crucial. There are no universal rules. There's no magic color that works for everything. Sure, red might get your heart rate up, but whether you associate that red with love or danger or celebration, that depends entirely on your culture, your personal memories, and the situation you're in. Context is absolutely everything. Color is basically a silent conversation that's always happening between your surroundings and your brain. The shades and hues in the room you're in right now are sending you signals, nudging your mood and your focus without you even realizing it. So take a second and look around. What are the colors in your world trying to tell you?